what is next now is that the tribunal will begin to hear the matters. The key difference is that in the Peter Obi Labour Party case, as plaintiffs, there are 4 respondents: Tinubu, Kashim Shettima, APC, and INEC in that order. In the PDP case, there are only 2 plaintiffs, the PDP and Atiku Abubakar, and 3 respondents. Kashim Shettima, the vice presidential candidate and vice president-elect of the APC, was not included among the respondents. So the essential difference in those 2 major petitions is that in the case of the petition by the Labour Party and its candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, are asking that, in fact, both Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his running mate, Kashim Shettima, were not even qualified in the first place. Number 2, they are asking that they should have been, the Labour Party won the election, and that, Bola Ahmed Tinubu did not win that election. They are also saying that INEC did not follow his own rules, and that that election was conducted in violation of the enabling laws of the Electoral Act. So, at the end of the day, Labour Party is coming up with 5 prayers, 2 main prayers and 3 alternative prayers, all to the effect that that election, 1, should be declared null and void and cancelled, and a rerun ordered in the event that the court cannot say, okay, Tinubu did not win, let's annul some of his votes and then declare Mr. Peter Obi the winner of the case. In the case of the PDP and the 2 other political parties, AA and APM, they are also asking that that election was not conducted according to the law. Well, I mean, without prejudice to what will come up at the tribunal, now that the matter is before the tribunal, it will be wrong. It will be contemptuous for anyone to try to argue the case outside the province of the tribunal. However, certain sections of the law are likely to be at issue. Section 47 of the Electoral Act specifically, Section 47 of the Electoral Act, sub 2, sub 3, prescribe how presiding officers at polling units should manage results, how they should rely on technological device. But that section is very clear that whatever technological device that they adopt must be as prescribed by INEC, and that if there is any issue, INEC reserves the right to cancel the election at that particular polling unit and then order another election within 24 hours, which was the case during the presidential election in 141 polling units in Bayelsa State, and which was also the case, more or less, although the circumstances are a bit more detailed, in Lagos State, in 10 polling units in the Lekki VGC area of Lagos. Also of interest will be Section 131 of the Nigerian Constitution, which deals with qualification for the presidential election. Also at issue will be Section 137, sub D, sub E of the 1999 Constitution, dealing with disqualification, because the case of the Labour Party is inked on 137D and E about Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu having had a case in the United States involving $460,000. Also at issue here will be sections 148 and 149 of the Electoral Act. Section 148 gives INEC the right to issue guidelines. So the question will be, did INEC follow his own guidelines? Section 149 says where anybody is aggrieved that it has not followed its own guidelines, the place to go is a court. Well, also may be of issue will be Section 60 of the same Electoral Act. So we should expect a lot of legal fireworks at the tribunal. Already, some of the parties who are protesting are saying, well, maybe for the first time in Nigerian history, we'll see a presidential election being overturned by the tribunal. But, it's a long race. It's a long road ahead. This is just the beginning of it. But what is important is that the various gladiators have chosen the option of seeking redress in a peaceful manner through the courts. And the burden now, the heavier burden, will be on the judiciary to ensure that justice is not just done, but it is seen to have been done.
All right. Finally, we're in court. But I think the bone of contention why people are going to court is how the elections were conducted, the process. And I'll remember and I'll try to summon the story of Abel Mutai. I'm sure you're going to ask me, what will a Kenya runner do as regards the election petition in Nigeria? A lot. Abel Mutai had a very interesting story. He was running at a marathon. It was close to the end point. But because of the signage, he thought the race was over. So he stopped for a bit. But another Spanish runner kept on pushing him and urged him to finish. And when the Spanish runner was asked, why did you push him to the end? You could have won the race. He stopped running. He didn't see the signs. And he said, no, it is only justice that will allow me to do that, because if he had continued, he would have won the race. But I want to build a community where we do things rightly. And that's the correlation here. The reason why these petitioners are going to court is because they want to challenge what happened as regards the system, the irregularities as regards the electoral process. 4 parties have gone to court. 4 political parties. Peter Obi of the Labour Party, Atiku Abubakar of the PDP, the APM, and other political parties in there. And what are they challenging? The process. What part of the process they're challenging? The collation of results. They sought 4 reliefs, like the Labour Party, for instance. They talked about Bola Tinubu's $460,000 drug case for feature in America. They talked about the fact that Shetima was the 7th senator when he was made a vice presidential candidate. They also talked about the process itself, where they challenged the coalition. They also talked about INEC violating various ex partes order, despite 5 different letters written in March to INEC to be able to allow them, see and access the materials. But INEC didn't do the same. They also enumerated the fact that INEC did not even give them the full viewing of the materials they wanted. In some cases, they said some of the materials on the forms were not available. They now went further to challenge the collation of the results. They talked about Rivers. They talked about Benue, claiming that their candidate won in Rivers and in Benue, but the votes, were manipulated to favor the opposing party. They talked about their own empirical facts. And for them to be able to defend this case, and furthermore, they talked about that sticky 25% in Abuja. For them to be able to defend the case, they talked about the fact that they'll have witnesses like people that will have representatives from the Amazon Web Services. Amazon Web Services is being mentioned here because the INEC server is hosted on the Amazon Web Services, AWS. They talked about forensic experts as witnesses. They'll also take clips from television and newspaper entries as regards the electoral process. And they have a potpourri of witnesses, and it was also contained in the oath, about 100-page document. In all of this, they have put their case forward, challenging the process. I'm excited about this process because the very first time we're going to have an election petition that would deal with technological outplay as regards the process. So our courts and judges, will they be equipped enough? And we trust them to be able to look at the technological detail, because it's going to be about a lot of forensic analysis and looking into the process and what emerged. That will also be part of forensic thumbprints, places where you had multiple voting of one thumbprint voting so many times. All of that are going to be looked at. So we will see the display of this. This has been filed in the Court of Appeal, and we all know how the process goes. Definitely, if they are not content, people definitely get to go to the Supreme Court before this is made. But most importantly, apart from the court process and apart from our lords and judges, and like a lot of Nigerians said, the all eyes of the nation is upon our judiciary now to look at our laws, interpret them, and give justice where necessary. Apart from all of this, the question is, because I've also been seeing a lot of statements attributed to people that after elections it's time to heal. Yes, it's time to heal, but you cannot heal without justice. There are people that their heads have been broken. They are still in the hospital because we did elections on Saturday. There are people that the hurt is so much Somebody called me yesterday that he went to 15 different condolence visits in Rivers State because of people that have been killed. From one family alone, 2 people were killed because they're polling agents. We can't heal without justice being done for those people. We want the collective development and the prospect of our country to shine bright, but it must be based on justice. And like I always say, it is righteousness that exalts a nation. Sin is a reproach to any nation. Let's stop the sin in the land. God bless Nigeria.